You want to be creative without actually being creative. It's actually way more possible, and actually I recommend it more. I think it's because creativity has this horrible reputation of being this floaty kind of muse type figure that blesses you with this wonderful idea and this great execution of a piece of music or art or you know, costume or something. Bullshit. I call bullshit. I also just want to point out that I don't have curtains, and I've been really nervous about revealing this, and I know it's really stupid, but there it is. I have no curtains. So these are a few tips and tricks that I've learned in my career. I work as a designer. I'm also a video maker, although please be gentle, because like, if you're stuck, you've got writer's block, we all get it. These patterns and theories and techniques that I use should help you get closer to a creative idea, and generally just let you like mess around a little bit, make some paint. That makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, so let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so I want us to think about our creativity like a rat. A little dude, and he's in a laboratory in a maze, and he wants to get to the cheese, and the cheese is our creative thinking. So we've got a rat, which is our brain, and we've got the cheese, which is our creative idea. We need to get the rat moving, yeah? We need to go from A to B. And the way we can get the rat moving is by applying pressure. So let's put a big cat in the maze. Like seriously, you need to apply pressure to yourself if you want to create some movement towards coming up with a creative idea. That could look like a deadline. That could look like an obligation to somebody else. You need a consequence. Negativity and pressure and a little bit of stress, I don't think there's something you should necessarily be avoidant of, because these kind of more negative emotions are amazing for the sun going down and changing your lighting. All I'm saying is that a little bit of pressure, a little bit of uncomfortableness is great for you, because it creates movement, and it's movement that we need in order to get the brain moving towards your creative idea. My other idea, it comes up more often for me when I do design work, less so in video, but I don't think that they should be treated differently, but you need to find the problem. If we start thinking of our creativity as an equation to be solved, we're more likely to come up with answers or ideas, or at the very least something to try. Even if it's like a piece of art or like a piece of self-expression or something, think of it more as a question rather than an end product or an answer. To me, it doesn't feel like creative. It's not very creative, because it's an answered problem. But in its answer in itself, it was creative. Does that make sense to you? Anyway, I feel like I've confused this message quite a lot, but somewhere is the answer. See what I did there? See what I did there? Another thing that I like to think about as well is that creativity is so free, so loose, you can go off in any direction, you can do whatever you want. Well, that's great, but sometimes having a lot of choice is more stagnant than being restricted. In the maze, if there's 5 different choices for the rat, it's more likely to stop, overthink, and get confused, compared to if there was just one kind of bumper alley, like for it to run directly down towards the creative idea. It's going to get there faster, the movement's going to keep going. So if you're thinking about your work and putting restrictions on your work, perhaps you keep to one colour. God, maybe it's a costume. Maybe again, you can only use 2 different types of fabric. If it's music, you can only do it 3 beats in a bar. You see what I'm saying here? By restricting what you're actually allowed to do, your brain is going to have to try and think of a way to overcome these obstacles, and in that movement, it's going to get you closer to your creative idea. Like anything that moves, it needs some kind of charge or a fuel. So before you even put the rat in the cage, let's make sure it's fed properly. For your brain, in terms of creativity, it's references. Or, do you know what? Find more than one influence. That's really handy as well, because if you try to merge the two together, that activity is going to get your brain working in a really good way to come up with something. Perhaps it's a case of, oh god, I don't know, mixing Art Nouveau with like 90s grunge. They don't go together, but by looking at ways to do it and in the design, your brain is going to come up with a lot more kind of creative outputs. Yar. I mean, I think Art Nouveau and grunge, they can go together. We can try and make something like that if you want. You can let me know. But probably the best piece of advice, and probably the most common one, for trying to find an idea, is just write it all down. Write it all down, get it all out. Like anything, you need to get through all the ugly before you get to the end result. And it's the same with your thinking. There's crap ideas you need to get out the way to know that they're crap, to get closer to the good ones, or the ones that you resonate more with. So don't be afraid to kind of go and explore and cut things out and stuff. It's all good. Like, it's just thinking really at the end of the day. Like, there's not a lot of pressure, it's just thought. And I'm out of tips. I mean, these work for me. Give them a try yourself. You'll find that they do work. The theme between all of this stuff that I've shown you is that I'm basically taking the wishy-washiness out of creativeness. You got to think about it practically, and you need to understand that, you know what, sometimes a little bit of uncomfort is amazing for you, because it actually pushes you towards what you need. Yeah, we shouldn't be shying away from feeling uncomfortable. It's like the best thing in the world for you. If you want me to talk more about it, you can let me know. I don't mind doing that. Okay, so what else am I doing? Well, after you've subscribed, and if you could subscribe, I would love that, because I'm trying to make friends here. So what's next for me? Well, if you want me to talk more about this stuff, I could talk for days about the patterns and theories of thinking when it comes to creativity, or the execution of things when it comes to creativity. It's kind of my bread and butter. And let me lay into something. So, if I had to think creatively how to end this video, what would I do? I've thought about this before, and I decided that I couldn't quite figure out how to do it, and I naturally ranted. So instead of like shying away from it, I just let my outro become a rant. So you're listening to my creative solution to how to end a video. Ta-da!